In a faraway kingdom surrounded by tall mountains and silver rivers, there lived a princess named Elira. But unlike the other royal children in the palace, Princess Elira was quiet. She didn't argue in the royal court, she didn't try to prove herself, and she rarely spoke unless it truly mattered. Because of this, people believed she was weak. The ministers laughed behind her back. The nobles ignored her opinions. Even her own sisters believed she would never be capable of ruling the kingdom. But what no one in the palace knew was that the quiet princess had been watching everything, and she had a plan that would soon change the entire kingdom forever. King Aldrin ruled the kingdom with strength, but he had grown old and tired. Soon, one of his daughters would have to lead the kingdom. The royal court believed the choice was obvious. Princess Valeria, the eldest daughter, was loud and confident. Princess Miran, the second daughter, was clever with words and politics. And then there was Elira, the quiet one. Whenever the king asked for opinions in the royal court, Valeria would speak loudly. Miran would debate with the ministers. But Elira simply listened. One day a minister laughed and whispered, "Why does the quiet princess even sit in the royal court?" Another noble replied, "Because she knows she has nothing to say." The entire hall chuckled. Elira heard them, but she said nothing. Instead, she kept observing. Months passed. One evening, while walking quietly through the palace garden, Elira heard something strange. Two ministers were speaking in hushed voices near the old stone fountain. One of them said, "The king grows weaker every day. Soon Princess Valeria will rule." The second minister replied, "And when she does, the northern kingdom will invade." Just as we planned, Elira froze. The northern kingdom? Invade? She slowly stepped closer, hiding behind the marble statues. The first minister continued, "When the war begins, the kingdom will fall into chaos. That's when we take control." Elira's heart raced. Her own father's ministers were planning to betray the kingdom. But if she told anyone now, no one would believe the quiet princess. So Elira did something unexpected. She said nothing. Instead, she started preparing. For weeks, Elira secretly visited different parts of the kingdom. She spoke with village leaders. She learned the truth about the army. She discovered which soldiers were loyal and which ones served the corrupt ministers. But she did all of this quietly. No royal announcement, no grand speeches, just careful planning. Meanwhile, the ministers continued their secret plot. And finally, the day came. A messenger arrived at the palace. "The northern army is marching toward the kingdom." The royal court exploded with panic. Princess Valeria demanded the army prepare for battle. Princess Miran argued with the generals. The ministers pretended to be shocked. But Elira remained calm, because she knew something no one else did. The invasion had already begun. The next morning, the entire royal court gathered. King Aldrin looked exhausted. "My daughters," he said, "our kingdom faces war. What should we do?" Valeria spoke first. "We attack immediately." Miran interrupted. "No, we negotiate with the northern kingdom." The court began arguing loudly. Then suddenly, Elira stood up. For the first time in years, the quiet princess spoke. "Neither plan will save the kingdom." The hall went silent. One minister laughed. "Oh? And the quiet princess suddenly has wisdom?" Elira calmly looked at him. "Yes." She then turned toward the king. "Because the real enemy is already inside this palace." The entire court gasped. Before anyone could react, the palace doors opened. Dozens of royal guards entered the hall. But these guards were not loyal to the ministers. They were loyal to Elira. She raised her hand and said, "Arrest the traitors." The guards immediately seized the two ministers who had planned the betrayal. The hall exploded with shock. Princess Valeria stared in disbelief. How did you know? Elira answered quietly. Because while everyone was speaking, I was listening. The ministers were taken away. The invasion from the northern kingdom quickly failed because Elira had already warned the loyal generals days earlier. The army was ready. The kingdom was safe. A few days later, King Aldrin called the entire royal court together again. He looked at his daughters. Then he spoke the words that no one expected. The next ruler of this kingdom will be Princess Elira. The court was stunned. But this time, no one laughed because they finally understood something. The quiet princess they once ignored had been the smartest person in the entire palace, and so Princess Elira became one of the wisest rulers the kingdom had ever known. Not because she spoke the loudest, but because she understood something powerful. Sometimes, the quietest person in the room is the one who sees everything. And the greatest strength is knowing when to wait and when to act. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more powerful princess stories and magical fairy tales. And remember, never underestimate the quiet ones.